What if the world ended, not with a bang, but with a chill? What if one event on one side of the planet could steal the sun from the other? It became known as the year without a summer. In June, snow fell in New England. In July, frost killed the crops in France. Famine swept the globe. It was the worst climate disaster of modern history. And for decades, no one knew why. This is the story of the volcano that erased a season. The story begins 1 year earlier, 1815, on the island of Sumbawa in modern-day Indonesia, Mount Tambora. For centuries, it was a quiet, green giant. On April 5th, it awoke, a small rumble. Then, April 10th, 7 p.m., the mountain detonated. It was not an eruption, it was an annihilation. The largest volcanic explosion in recorded human history. The sound was the loudest ever heard. It was mistaken for cannon fire 2,600 kilometers away. A column of ash, smoke, and fire rocketed 43 kilometers into the stratosphere. Total darkness covered the region for 3 days. 10,000 people were killed instantly. Another 80,000 would die from the tsunamis and the toxic ash that followed. The mountain had blown 1,200 meters off its own peak. But the immediate blast was not the deadliest part. The real killer was the ash. 100 cubic kilometers of fine sulfur dioxide was injected directly into the stratosphere. It did not fall down. It formed a veil, a global aerosol cloud. This veil began to drift. Carried by the jet streams, it slowly enveloped the entire planet. It was a shield, blocking the sun. Global temperatures dropped by 3 degrees Celsius. It doesn't sound like much. It was catastrophic. The year without a summer. In North America, a dry fog descended. It dimmed the sun and turned it red. Snow fell in June. Birds froze and dropped from the sky. The crops failed. In Europe, the situation was worse. Constant, cold rain. Flooding destroyed the harvest. Famine gripped the continent. People ate rats, grass, and moss. Riots broke out in Switzerland and France. It was an apocalypse caused by an event no one in Europe even knew had happened. The cold, dark, wet summer did have one strange side effect. In Switzerland, a group of young, wealthy writers were trapped indoors by the endless rain. Bored, they held a ghost story competition. One of them, a 19-year-old girl named Mary Shelley, had a waking nightmare inspired by the unnatural weather. She wrote a story about a scientist who creates a monster. The story was Frankenstein, a masterpiece of horror born from a volcanic catastrophe. The mystery of 1816 was eventually solved. Scientists connected the global chill to the massive sulfur cloud from Mount Tambora. It was a disaster of unimaginable scale, a reminder that our world is connected by invisible atmospheric threads. Tambora was the loudest sound in history, a terrifying explosion that came from within the earth and changed the sky for years. But what about an explosion that came from outside the earth? A cosmic blast 185 times stronger than Hiroshima that flattened a remote forest in an instant and left behind no crater and no impact.